certificate chain of trust. It contains root certificate, intermediate certificate, and the server certificate. Before understanding the root and other certificates, let's understand what is certificate chain of trust. It is the list of certificates that verifies the authenticity of the website. This list of certificates contain server certificate, intermediate certificate, and the root certificate. The intermediate certificate can be one or many. I'll open any of the website and we can check the certificate details there. Now I'll open one website. You can open any of the website, technomanuals.com. Here you can see the icon, padlock icon. Click this and it shows here connection is secure. Now browser validated this connection and it is secure. Now I'll open the certificate here. Click here and you can see the certificate details here. I'll go to details. Here you can see the certificate chain here. Here you can see the technomanuals.com. It is the server certificate that is for this server technomanuals.com. Whoever hosting this web server, for that it is issued. Who issued this? This is issued by R3. Okay, this is the intermediate certificate. Then who issued the intermediate certificate? That is issued by this group, ISRG Root X1. This is the Internet Security Research Group. It is a certificate authority. Why certificate chain of trust is required? When the browser accesses the website shares its certificate to browser. We have seen that when you open the technomanuals.com, it presented its certificates. Browser checks whether the certificate is valid by checking the issuer of this certificate from the Trusted Certificate Authority. That we have seen, it is issued by the ISRG group. If the match is not found, then browser checks whether the certificate is signed by the trusted root CA. Why the match is not found here? So if you open that website again, see now technomanuals.com, it is unknown to the browser, but this certificate root, it is known to the browser because it is a trusted certificate authority. It checks back, trace back to this root. If this check trace back to root CA and this root CA is trusted, then browser validates this server certificate as secure. You can see here, now it's traced back to this root CA and it's trusted. That's why you can see the connection is secure here. Server to root certificate chain of trust. In this diagram, you can see root certificate signs the intermediate certificate and intermediate certificate signs the server certificate, and the root certificate is self-signed. Why the root certificate is self-signed? It is the parent certificate in the certificate chain of trust hierarchy. Root CA does not sign directly the server certificate. Why? The root CA issues many TLS certificates to businesses or the individual. If the private key of the root CA is compromised, then whoever received the signed certificate from this root CA will also be at security risk. In this scenario, the root CA must issue new signed certificates to all the entities it has previously issued certificates to. To address this issue, an intermediate certificate is added to the certificate chain of trust. Here you can see intermediate certificate is added here in between root and the server certificate. This root is not directly interacting with this server certificate. This server certificate is signed by the intermediate certificate's private key, not by the root certificate's private key. Let's understand more about intermediate certificate. The root CA will issue the intermediate certificate and sign it with its own private key. Here, the intermediate certificate is signed by the root private key. The intermediate certificate now becomes the intermediate CA that issues the server certificate. Now this intermediate certificate got the authority to sign the server certificate because it is signed by the root CA. In this scenario, the root is not directly involved in signing the server certificate. So the private key of the root CA is not exposed online and is securely stored offline. That is the reason root CA issues the intermediate certificate to sign the server certificate, because it should not be exposed to the public. The server certificate issued by the intermediate CA can be traced back to the root CA. When a browser downloads a website's TLS certificate, it begins chaining that certificate back to its root. It will begin by following the chain to the intermediate certificate that has been installed. From there, it continues to tracing backwards until it arrives at a trusted root certificate. We have seen that when the certificate we downloaded from the browser that is presented by this website's server, then we have seen the server certificate that traces back to the root. We'll see that now. I download the certificate which is shared by this website. Now click on this padlock icon. You can see the connection is secure. Click here. Click on this icon. Details. Then export. And I'll give name here. tech.crt. Extension is CRT. Now it's saved to downloads folder. I open the downloads here. Click here. Here, issued to, this certificate is issued to technomanuals.com. Who issued it? That is R3. Who is R3? It should be a intermediate certificate. If you go to the certification path here, you can see here R3 is the intermediate. It's between root and the server certificate. Now this R3 is signed by the root CA. You can see here, this is a root CA. Now go to general, go to details. This is the common name for this certificate. Now we will go and check the details about server certificate, intermediate and the root certificate. Now anyhow we have this server certificate here. Now we can derive the intermediate certificate from this. I'll click here R3 and view certificate. You can see this certificate details here. This is the intermediate certificate. Here the details are issued by ISRG root. It is issued by the certificate authority, root certificate authority. You can see here issued to R3. If you compare with this server certificate, that is different. Now I'll save this certificate and we can compare all the certificates. Also you can see the validity here. It is valid from 22/4/9/2022, 15/9/2025. Almost it has got 5 years validity. If you check this server certificate, it is valid only for 3 months. Server certificate has a less validity period. Now we have seen intermediate, it has a more validity, and even the root having more than this validity period. The root X1, this is the root certificate. Click view certificate. Here you can see the details issued to ISRG root X1. Who issued it? ISRG root X1. Same. It is a self-signed certificate. It is a parent of the chain certificate chain of trust. So it signs itself. You can see that here. And also you can check the validity here. It is valid from 2015 to 2035. Almost it is having 20 years validity. Here you can see the certificate path. It's only showing this root here. If you go to intermediate, view certificate, certification path, this shows intermediate and above that root here. Now server certificate, it is having all the chains here. Now we can save this certificate with a different name, with intermediate, root and this one. How to save that? Just go here R3 and view certificate, then go to details. Here there is option copy to file. Copy to file. We'll save it as base64 encoded X509. Next, I'll give the folder, downloads folder, and I'll name it as intermediate inter.cr. Save. Now it exported. Now I'll open the downloads folder. You can see the intermediate certificate for this server certificate. Open this. You can see the details here. It is issued to R3 and issued by this group. Now, and certificate path you can see R3 and this one. Details. Go to subject. Here common name is R3 here. Now let's create the root certificate from this certificate. Now click on the root here, then view certificate and go to details, copy to file. Next, base64 encoded, and the file name I'll give it as root.cr, or you can give just root, it will take extension as .cr. Now finish, successful. Now you can see root.cr got created. Open this. You can see that a valid prompt 2015 to 2035 issued to this certification path. This way we can export the intermediate and root certificate from the public certificate. The intermediate certificate acts as a mediator between the root and the server certificate. Certificate trust store. The browsers are already storing the known trusted root certificates in their trust store. When the browser is presented with the certificate from the website, it checks whether the server certificate traces back to the root certificate present in its trust store. That is, ISRG root should be present in the trust store of this browser. If this activity is successful, the browser gives the green signal and allows the user to access the website. If it is unsuccessful, the browser displays the warning message like this website is not secure. Let's check the browser trust store now. Now I'll go to settings, privacy, security, manage certificates. Click here. Here check the trusted root certificates. It's the trust store for this browser. So here it lists so many trusted root certificates. Let's check the root certificate signed by this website, that is ISRG. This is the root one, ISRG root X1. Let's find this root is present here or not in the trust store. Opening again, trusted root certificates, search for ISRG. Here you can see ISRG root X1 already present in this trust store. That's why you can see the website is authenticated by the browser. Then it gives connection is secure. Then user can easily browse this website without worrying about data theft. Now I'll open one more website that is hosted in the local system. HTTPS local host 9099. Now you can see here this website is not secure. Attackers might be trying to steal your information from localhost. Localhost means server name here. Click here. Your connection is not secure. Don't enter any sensitive information on this site. For example, passwords, credit cards. It could be stolen by attackers. If you check this certificate, click here, open this certificate. You can see here, this is issued to WebGUI and issued by the WebGUI. It is the self-signed. It is not signed by any certificate authority. It is created in the local system. So that's why this certificate is not available in the browser trust store. So that's why it is showing as not secure. In this lecture, we have seen what is certificate chain of trust and understood the details about root certificate, intermediate certificate and the server certificate.